U.S. Senate race, and Democrat Kevin De Leon says he will challenge Senator Dianne Feinstein in next year's election. The president of the California Senate announcing yesterday he is ready to run.
Dianne Feinstein has been in the Senate since 1992 and has never faced a serious electoral challenge from within her party.
And joining us live tonight is the Sacramento bureau chief of the Los Angeles Times, John Myers. So, John, De Leon's entry now into this Senate race, it sort of represents a generational confrontation over the direction of the Democrat Party. What are some of the possible benefits or the pitfalls that might happen in a race like this?
Well, certainly, I think the benefits are that it increases Democratic turnout next year. Donald Trump is not on the ballot in California, and I think a lot of Democrats hope that at least people think about Donald Trump, and if Democrats are angry about Trump, they'll turn out, and that'll increase turnout. That'll help all the races. Of course, right, the pitfalls, I think, as you all laid out at the top, are simply that you have two Democrats battling each other. It could use up resources in Democratic Party politics. Dianne Feinstein, 84 years old, an icon in California politics. Kevin De Leon, a different generation, 50-year-old leader of the state Senate. Not a lot of daylight, I would argue, between the two in terms of issues, but I don't think you're going to see that in a race. I think you're going to see De Leon say that he is the guy to take it to Trump, and that Feinstein has been too easy on the president. Remains to be seen. It'll be an interesting race.
Yeah, the Feinstein campaign says that De Leon is just doing this because he's term limited. He's a politician looking for a job. Are they underestimating him, or do you think she's just a shoo-in still?
I think it's hard to say at this point, Kelly. I will tell you, I think that De Leon has a reputation for being very smart in politics here in Sacramento, but he has got to run to the left, so to speak, of Dianne Feinstein. She's seen more as a pragmatic centrist in Washington, and De Leon has got to burnish those credentials of being anti-Trump. And look at what he's done in Sacramento. He's led the effort on immigration issues here in California. He's led the issue this year on environmental issues. I think he's going to try to take that and see if he can parlay it into a statewide race. But keep in mind, he's a guy who voters in California don't really know. He's never been on a statewide ballot. He's from Los Angeles. That helps. But he's got to introduce himself to a lot of voters, and that takes money, and he's got to raise money for this race.
John, I think you kind of touched on something there. I want to expand on that a little bit more, and that's sort of the difference between Feinstein and De Leon, and that is Democrats have accused Feinstein of being a little too cozy sometimes with Republicans, whereas De Leon's been out there saying he is anti-Trump all the way.
Yeah, this is a really fascinating year, I think, for this, because, we were talking about this earlier today back in my newsroom. If Hillary Clinton had been president, would we have seen Kevin De Leon running for the U.S. Senate against a fellow Democrat? I don't think we would have. I think Trump has reset the Democratic politics, especially in the state. You've got a lot of the very liberal faction of the Democratic Party saying they want people who are more confrontational in the president's face and in the face of Republicans in Washington. I think you can see that between Kamala Harris, the other U.S. Senator from California, and Dianne Feinstein. They have a different opinion, even though Harris has endorsed Feinstein in this race. So I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. I think, as I said, Donald Trump is not on the ballot in California in 2018, but he'll sure feel like he's on the ballot if these Democrats run the campaign they want to run.
John Myers, always nice to have you in, and of course we'll be watching to see if anyone else follows De Leon's lead. So, John Myers from the LA Times, thanks for being with us tonight.
You're welcome.
Okay.